Shalom, Allah start out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles, and Elsewhere Millstone, salutations to those for that's pushing that's pushing this truth across the four corners of the earth and all faith, truth, and sincerity. This Alma want to buy back when I was sitting. I just want to go into about just the times of that we in, according to prophecy of the word of the Lord. If if you have, if you're in the spirit of the Lord Yahweh Shai, you know that the times that we in, it's gonna get real serious. The prophecies, times of Jacob's trouble, all hell, could break loose, soon. We'll see, how things go, but right now it's looking like it's heading that way of, all hell break loose out here in the streets of America. You're gonna have people, just get fed up of, what's going on, with the prices of food and so forth, and eventually a lack of food, right? The closing of stores and so forth. Restaurants and stores that are gonna be closing due to they not gonna have things coming in due to the tariffs that Trump putting on from on China and so forth. On the goods that these businesses need that's not coming in from China. Because most of the stuff that the U.S. have is from China, for the most part. So, and nothing coming in from China. You gonna see those store shelves get, smaller and smaller, man. People gonna start panicking and losing it, when they ain't got they ain't got this or that, what they need for, whatever, for the household, So desperation gonna kick in, people gonna start losing it. But we in those times, those that not the people that's unaware of what's going on around them, they're not paying attention. They're like, oh, everything will be all right. They're being naive or delusional. Once it really hit, once things hit the fan, once it gets crazy out here, it's gonna be too late. Those that didn't, prepare their mind, they did not prepare their spirit, did not believe in this truth of the word Lord Yahweh, did not believe in this truth of the word of Lord Yahweh that the apostles and elders and brother great millstone teach, week in, week out. It's gonna be too late. You had your chance to repent, and stop, doing what you're doing, but when Lord Yahweh bring down the hammer, these judgments go out more and more, it's gonna be too late, once eventually, like I say, eventually the grid could go out, communication could be lost out here, so it's gonna get real out here. But I'm getting to it. Matthew 24:32. And I learned a parable of the fig tree. When his branches is yet tender and put forth leaves, that summer's now. So so a fig tree, once it bloom, once it put it's tender, it's blooming, you see it, bring it forth, leaves, it's blossoming out. Summer's now, you see, it's hey, just like the prophecies, right? You seeing that hey, these prophecies are fulfilled. It's fully, bloom. It's gonna pop off. It's gonna be manifest. I'm going to that scripture about that, but we in the end. But you seen the prophecy of the Lord, word of the Lord, or of the word of the Lord that the apostles and Ellsberg Grimmins don't teach week in, week out. For years telling you that hey, these things are coming to America, Babylon the Great. The so-called white man, Esau Edomites are the devils, the red devils that they are. they're gonna show their horns, which they showing it now in these times more and more. especially to you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, which are Israelites. And you got those, you still got, Negro, Latino, natives. They don't believe they Israelites. They think they still black and African American. They still think they are American, African American. They black, They don't believe they're Israelites. Like I said, that's 2/3. Like I said, it's prophecy, man. 2/3. You're gonna have 2/3 Israel. You gonna have 2/3 of so-called Negro or Latino natives not gonna believe they're Israelites. On the elect, if the elect is gonna believe, and keep their faith until the end, no matter what. Hopefully, I'm probably right number. Keep my faith until the end, no matter what, you know. But we in those times, if you in the spirit of Lord Yahweh Shai, you in the spirit of the Lord, that we in those times, and not a time of, partying and having fun and bullshitting, because that's not the time that really we in right now. We in the time of mirth, what I'm saying, sorrows, man, and it's gonna get way worse. And then what's going on right now is it's getting there. It's gonna get there to a point where it ain't gonna be a lot of. It's gonna be a lot of things. It's gonna take a lot of people off guard, man. It's gonna shock a lot of people. It's gonna go down in front of them, man. So, hey, but in this verse, Matthew 24:33. So likewise, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. So yeah, it's near. So you see all these things, like the apostle Elzenberg, Great Millstone, that's in the spirit of Lord Yahweh Shai, the elect, that's in the spirit of Lord Yahweh Shai, that's not, delusion, not being naive of what's going on around them. They know, hey, we at the end of this thing. It's a matter of time. All hell could break loose, the power could go out, anything can happen in the next 24 hours, the next day. You know what I'm saying? It's day to day. Basically, it's just day to day now. You wake up, man. Some crazy, something major happens, right? In your city, something major could happen, right? And then you be like, wow, it could drastically change everything, around you. And and then like I said, it all boils down to the Lord Yahweh Shai with you, that you're going to be delivered out of that situation. Cause it could get real serious crazy out here, man. It's going to, and people that, that Israelites, so-called Negro, Latino natives that are not, taking it serious, are not preparing themselves how they're supposed to prepare themselves spiritually in the word Lord Yahweh Shai, believing Lord Yahweh Shai, fasting, praying, and preparing how you got to prepare themselves physically, to survive, mentally, spiritually. They're gonna be done. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna hold up. Once it all goes down. Once it gets crazy out here, man. A lot of Negro Latinos gonna, like the scripture say, men's hearts gonna fail for them. Gonna fail them for the things that's gonna come upon the earth, man. It's gonna fail a lot. A lot of people's minds they're gonna fold. They're gonna break. They're gonna be mentally just gone. Once they see things happen, they're gonna be out of it, man. So it's gonna get real serious, man. So we there, man. We here, man. It's gonna get worse, man. But Matthew 24:34. Matthew 24:34. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. So the prophecy's got to be fulfilled. The word of the Lord is true. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lie. All these other stuff that these men say, these Baptist church preachers, whatever, out here saying this and that, blah, blah, blah. Promise you that everything gonna be okay, whatever. No, it's not. In America, Babylon Great, it ain't gonna. The word of the Lord is gonna come to pass. The Lord Yahweh Shai, he is not a man that should lie. That's the scripture will say, his word is gonna come to pass. It don't matter what Trump say or whoever, right? Say everything gonna be okay in America, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. You gotta understand these prophecies gotta come to pass. And these devils, these Edomites can't stop prophecy. They could try all they want, but they can't stop it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know who really in control and power is the Lord Yahweh Shai. He wants the prophecies of his word to come to pass. It's gonna come to pass. You can't stop it. You know what I'm saying? It gotta happen. It gotta play out. So Um, go from there to this is second Ezra's. This is second Ezra's 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I had told thee before. Verse 2, then shall they understand that it is, excuse me, then shall they understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So the Lord Yabashai, Lord, he visiting, this place, man, with earthquakes and storms and, just bringing judgment, amongst so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Israelites, man. Because the scriptures say, the Lord Yahshua gonna begin in the house of Israel, in his house. So he bringing judgment down 2/3, man, of Israelites. That's not that number that's doing all these wickedness out here. Judgment is being brought down. Edomites as well. Edomites, but like I said, Lord Yahshua said, Lord Yahshua, the Lord said, I'm gonna start with my house. I'm gonna start with my house first. So that's what we seeing now, man. You seen Jake out here getting, man, getting put to death out here. Judgment coming down on him, man. It's real, man. We in the time of Lord Yahweh. He bringing his judgment, man. Me myself first of all, I just hope that you part of number to escape the wrath and judgment of the word Lord. To escape the wrath and judgment of the Lord Yahweh in these times, because that's what you're seeing going on right now, man. You don't know what could happen. Like saying, it's just day to day. You don't know what could happen the next hour, the next. You know what I'm saying? So it's just day to day. But I'm gonna go to 2 Ezra 9:3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars, uproars of the people in the world. So. Yeah, so there's earthquakes, happening. He had an earthquake that happened in it was like, I think it was like in Thailand, and within Thailand and other parts, in the area of it, Not recently, you got earthquakes are active. You had like a little, I think it was like a 5 point something, and I think up north of California, something like that. Recently, I think it was last month, something like that. So it wasn't like a big one, but it's like a 5 point something. But you got earthquakes active, it's gonna get more active, to the point it's gonna get a real serious earthquake to where it's gonna cause a lot of, a lot of tragedy, a lot of death and destruction, right? And that big one, I said that they hit that fault line, that earthquake, that major earthquake. If it hit that fault line, it's gonna be over with, man. California, that gonna be done. That San Andreas fault, the Madrid fault, the central part of America, that get hit by earthquake. It's gonna mess up a lot of it's gonna shake up a lot of things in America, man. It's gonna shake it up, gonna crack the Lord gonna crack up America, man. It's gonna be crack. It's gonna be splitting up, man. Cracking up, So hey, man, it's gonna get real out here, man. It's just gonna be a day, man. Like it's just gonna one day it's gonna shake up everything here, man. Lord Yahweh gonna shake up everything in America. Babylon, it's gonna have a lot of people in just they mouth. They can't. They ain't gonna have nothing really to say, but they're gonna be screaming and crying and wailing. When it goes down, when it happens, because that's all you're gonna hear. A lot of people screaming, yelling, crying. People dying. It's gonna get real out here, man. That's what's coming. But 2 Ezra 9:4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So we in those times. Lord Yahweh, Lord, the Most High. From the beginning, spoke of these things. That was gonna happen in these end times. Especially the so-called white man Esau Edomites in his rulership is in of his rulership in the end. We in those times. A lot of things gonna go down. like I said, the prophets, the men of the Lord, the prophets, they saw these, they had those visions, those, seeing it, and, it made the prophets sick when they were seeing these, these visions, and, what was going to happen, in these times, so, if it made the prophets sick, how much, it's going to, once it, it's in your face, just according to the word of the Lord, the scriptures say, you got to have a vision of the word of the Lord, the scriptures of what's gonna go down. Like, and like I said, a lot of people that do have these dreams or what, seeing these things happen, it shake a lot of people up in their dreams, when they wake up, because how crazy it's gonna get, when they seeing these things, happening, because we know those times, but it's coming, it's gonna shake a lot of people up. But Second Ezra 9:5, for like all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is made, and the end is manifest. So the end is made clear. Go to the word manifest. And be made to be obvious, clear. Of what's going on, right? It's clear. It's it's known that, hey, we in those times. It's the prophecy or the word of the Lord Yahweh Shai that the apostles, brother and great minister on teach and push is being made true, come to pass, right? And those that scoff and laugh, is coming to pass more and more. So, especially like I say, once this economy for the crash, the dollar is, it ain't worth shit now. It ain't backed by no gold or silver. I say these other countries like China, so forth, they don't give a damn about the dollar, U.S. dollar. So, what's gonna be going, like I said, it's gonna be leaning to the mark of the beast, the chip, the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. So it's gonna go from cashless society to digital. So you gotta have that RFID chip inside your forehead, your right hand, whatever. So you gotta take it. You gotta take it in order to function in the society. Or you want, like I said, you want to still have access to your money or whatever, right? To buy things in these stores, or because that's gonna be the problem to the solution. You know what I'm saying? Once this economy crash and the dollar is worthless, those gonna be the problem solution. People gonna be out here, losing it. How they gonna eat and this and that? How they gonna buy this and buy that? It's gonna be the RFID chip, the MOTV. So it's coming. That it ain't gonna be no laughing matter. These other camps, they made fun of the apostles, Ellsberg and Misto, that kept teaching about the MOTV, the RFID chip, the mark of the beast, which is the mark of the beast. The RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. When you gotta take it in your right hand forehead, when it's, you got, you go, on where you gonna get this, you have access to your stuff, get food or whatever, buy and sell, you gotta have it. It's coming, man. It's coming, man. Not too far off. What I'm saying? It can happen before. It can happen before the summer end, or going to the fall. Going into the winter. It just when it happens, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be too late for a lot of people once it comes about. If not this year, definitely going to next year can happen. Where the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, be mandatory. So we just gotta see. But we in those times, though. We here. It's gotta play out, man. Time is definitely speeding up. The days are going by like it's. I don't be keeping up no more. I'm just like, it is what it is. I just try to. I just know, like, I try to keep it, but at the same time, like, I ain't really worried. Like, it is what it is. Things, the prophecies got to come to pass. And the word of the Lord Yahweh Shai got to, it got to happen, man. Let it be. But 2 Ezra 9:6. Even so, Even so, the times also the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. So yeah, so we know times, people, seeing these things, these wonderful, powerful work, endings and effects and signs, seeing these things. I had by the Lord, the Most High, Lord Yahweh Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh, doing these things out here, man, that, is gonna make people, like, oh, they know there's higher power at work once they see these things happening. So keep going down to second Ezra 9-7. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed. So like, I say the Apostle Ellsberg, Raymond Storm, men Lord have truth and the elect. Those that, have faith in Lord Yahweh that, in their works, and you gotta have both. You gotta have faith and works. You just can't have one, without the other. So you gotta have both. So you gotta have faith, and you gotta have faith and works. You gotta believe, even though you believe, you gotta have your works behind it to show that you believe. Like I say, you teaching the word, you prophesying, you constantly believe in Lord Yahweh. You do what you gotta do, to the best of your ability. You're not giving up. You just pushing your portion that you could push, to the best of your ability. It just all boils down to Lord Yahweh gonna have mercy upon you. Me myself, I hope so. But like I say, it's all it got to play out, man. Hopefully I'm part of the norm. I want to have mercy, and by the Lord Yahweh and be delivered. But I can't control what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I can't control what my destiny or what's gonna be at the end of me. I just hope that I do. I'm hoping and believe that the Lord Yahweh gonna deliver me, but it ain't up to me. When it comes to the end of that time, when it comes about if the Lord is gonna have mercy upon me or not. But 2 Ezra 9-8 shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me and from the beginning. So Lord Yahweh gonna preserve the elect of the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Israelites, the elect from the sad perils, the troubled times. Because scripture say, you're gonna have, you're gonna have the elect they're gonna be eaten and taken care of in the times, all hell breaking loose out here, things going bad. The Lord Yahweh gonna look after his elect, but 2/3 Israelites that don't believe in Lord Yahweh, then repent, then put no effort into, doing the work, or pushing his work, putting in their time and effort, before he bring down the hammer, his judgments. His great judgment, he bring his great judgment down upon America, Babylon the Great. It's it'll be too late. Whether there be your family, friends that if they up now if they up now of that number, Lord Yahweh, excuse me, if they up now of that if they not of that number of the elect number, they're gonna be destroyed, but they're gonna be destroyed by the Lord Yahweh in these times. In these times are going forward. So yeah, that's what it is. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to the 9. Second Ezra is 9-9. Then shall there be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that had cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. So yeah, I say 2/3 is like 2/3 of so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans. Israelites gonna be in pitiful case, because they despise the word Lord Yahweh Shai. They what I'm saying, they made fun of the apostles. They didn't take the word serious. They into some other philosophies or whatever. They believe in whatever, right? They into whatever they believe in, whatever, right? And that's not gonna deliver them. They trust in their money. They trust in their system. They trust in Donald Trump. You got Negro, Latino natives trusting Donald Trump, but shit, Trump ain't finna deliver you. You know what I'm saying? That's your enemy. You try to tell Negroes, Latino natives, Israelites, hey, you got enemies, man. The so-called white man, Esau Edomites, is your enemy. These Arabs and so forth. Like, you have enemies, man. That's against you Negro, Latino natives, man. And y'all just, happy-go-lucky, yay, and going along and saying, kumbaya with your enemy. You want to hug and shake hands and, be friendly with your enemy and forget all that. You should be more like, nah, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be that friendly with your enemy, man. You gotta play. You play you play the game. You try to play. You play that little game with them. But that's your enemy. But a lot of Jake out here, it's just like, oh, I just believe Trump and I believe, what I'm saying, he gonna do or whatever. I believe in my friend. I trust in my friend, my Edomite friend, my redneck friend, and I got redneck friends. We close and blah blah blah. And man, with a boil down to it, man. When it come down to survival, man, they gonna jack. A lot of Edomites gonna jack up you, Negroes, man. Gonna turn on you, backstab you, man. Your redneck friend, is gonna turn their back on you, man. Watch. We ain't no time, man. These devils gonna show their true selves amongst you jakes, man. They is now. They gonna get way worse. You got this woman out here, this Edomite woman. She just running her mouth, saying nigger and all that stuff, She calling a autistic black girl, I think it was a little black girl, nigger or something, if I can't say, but calling what she said. Calling her, the N-word, I can't, I gotta be careful what I say, but calling the N-word, right? And they raising money for her and this and that. So they go to show you, these double Edomites, they ain't your friend, man. And you Negro Latinos gotta wake up, man. You gotta know who your enemy is, man. Wake up, man. Gosh, bro. Stop being friendly toward the Edomites, bro. They gonna turn their back on you, man. They gonna lie on you. They gonna steal and they gonna take from you, man. So that, what I'm saying? So you gotta choose a side. If you gonna believe Lord Yahweh Shem Shah and stand with Lord Yahweh Shah, you gonna believe in this system of Edomites and these devils, it gonna fail you, man. Miserably. And a lot of y'all Negroes holding on to, Trump gonna do this and blah blah blah. This shit gonna fail y'all, man. We ain't no times, man. But I ain't want to make this too long. I'm going to go ahead and 2 Ezra 9 and 10. For such in their lives have received benefits and have not known me. So you receive the benefits of this system of the so-called white man, Esau Edomites, all the goodies of whatever the benefits of this world, right? The material things, whatever, the money, all this, and all the whole bunch of money, the things of this world, right? The material things and this and that. It's not gonna deliver you in the time of the Lord Yahweh Shah wrath. And his judgment is gonna come down on America, Babylon the Great. You have not known the Lord Yahweh Shah. You just know America. Just chase money and get money. Not saying that you should have not. I'm not saying that you should not have money, but a lot of J that's all they talk about, money. They don't talk about they don't talk about the Lord. They don't quote. They don't talk about the scriptures. They don't want to really get to understand the word of the Lord Yahweh Shah. They just, what I'm saying? They just want to just party and get money and do all this wild stuff out here. All this wickedness that the Lord Yahweh Shah hates. And those jakes, so-called Negro Latinos that's into that, mind frame gonna be destroyed, man. They engulfed in America and still believe they still think they African American. They don't know they're Israelite, or they don't believe they're Israelite. They gonna be destroyed, man. But 2 Ezra 9:11, and they that had loathed my law, while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance were open unto them, they understood not, but despised. So yeah, you got, man, Loyal Bashan, he still got the Apostle Ellsberg at Mr. Stone. I don't know how it's by ways on the internet teaching the word, but it's getting to a point it's going to close up, man. It's getting close. It's getting closer and closer. And gonna close up shop. You know what I'm saying? Gonna close it up, cause it's gonna get bad out here, man. Scripture going to that. The prophets. Lord Yahweh gonna close the prophet's mouth. Prophet's mouth gonna be shut, man. The word gonna be hard. It ain't gonna be found. You know what I'm saying? The internet could be shit. The internet could go out. Like I said, communication could go off, man. Off the internet could be completely gone. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna have no way to communicate. Look for the word of the Lord. And, understand why is this going on. You better get it now. For the Lord Yahweh before the Lord Yahweh pull the plug. It's coming. And like I say, a lot of, Israelites despising the word of the Lord Yahweh, and they don't understand the truth, but like I say, that's the Lord Yahweh. He got Jakes, he don't want them to get it, like I said, the Apostle Ellsberg Grimmins, they could teach the word to a so-called Negro Latino or Native forever, or try to give it to them, but if they don't understand it, they don't believe, they're not gonna be delivered. That's just what it boils down to it. They despise it, they can't digest the truth. Hey, they're gonna be destroyed. But ending off with this, I don't want to make it too long. 2 Ezra 9:12, the same as Noah after death by pain. Like I say, a lot of so-called Negro, Latino, natives, the 2/3 Israelites are gonna be destroyed, man. For not believing the word of the Lord Yahweh, the truth, and not receiving it, not understanding it, despising it, a lot of so-called Negro, Latino natives gonna be destroyed out here. 2/3 Israelites, So we in those times, man. It ain't gonna get no better. So with that, I didn't want to make this too long. So again, I like to give our praise and our glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahshua, Ba'ashem, Kakdash, to the apostle elders, to the sisters, brothers, to the few Akwaf sisters that do